You got your blankie. Don't drag it. Don't drag it. Oh, it's being recorded. Okay. Oh well. See you guys.
Yeah.
All right, we are recording. How is everyone? Excellent. All right. Let's get started.
Sorry for the noise.
Yeah, that's Nathan building there. Nathan's here too. Turn the camera over.
Hey guys, long time no see.
Yeah, it's like a couple weeks. I have no access to my screen. Okay. I can't mute anybody, but I mean, I can hear everybody, so we'll just try to keep things not as loud on my end. What did we do last week? Nothing. Nothing here on.
Can you turn your mic sensitivity down?
No, I mean, I'm recording the screen. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Just kidding. I can mute the microphone. But everybody else is muted, so we're good. Just kidding. I can mute now. The recording let me access back to my webpage. So last week we did nothing. What we did accomplish up until today was we were able to fix the soft brake line hose to the front suspension version 31 with service pack, and we actually had to fabricate L brackets, and I will share the YouTube video in just a little bit. I was able to finally update it right before stand-up, which is awesome. My other idea was to zip tie it. Fortunately, I can't find the zip tie, so I didn't go that route. Otherwise, it just would look terrible. Like, what is a zip tie looking here? Like, everything's all machined out beautifully. We just got to zip tie it up to a little thing. Brackets are okay. We'll see how they test out and work through the track testing once we get there, and we'll make better looking ones. This was just something to see if it'll work and fit, and it does fit and it does hold. It doesn't seem like it's binding, so we'll see some actual applications go forth. Blockage. There's lots of Kaizen that needs to be done. We're being blocked a lot by that in the Linwood shop, such as like where the zip ties are or where tools need to be found. There's a lot of donated tools that we need to comb through and vet and figure out which ones are keeping, because all that space we just cleared up and that just got immediately filled up, and now we can barely shift things around. So that needs to be taken care of. There's also some website blockage. I was finally catching up on those emails. It looks like we're combing through those and getting through those. Thank you, Chris and Mike, and I believe also Michael Hasse that was also helping on that, as well as Joe, testing through some of those broken links and getting those fixed. Appreciate that. It's awesome. It takes a village. And next, who would like to go?
This is Lauren on Gabriola Island, British Columbia, and I was just showing you my my wooden dish rack that got warped and bent because people put heavy things on the upper part, so I put a zip tie on it.
Nice.
And so this past week, I'm going to talk about, because I didn't do much the other week, I took a shot at version control on the PDFs and Git, and trying Git for the first time. I've used Subversion and CVS, but I set up. I went to SourceForge, and it appears, and I hope there was no code there, because I deleted everything, which in turn deleted Git from my own machine as well. It's very powerful. So I was on, I used a button on SourceForge webpage, and it deleted the whole app from my local computer, because it's a distributed system and everything is done everywhere. So that's one of the lessons. And also, I've been reading, I downloaded a book on Safari. This is something I don't know if people know about. O'Reilly Publishing has a thing mostly for tablets. You can download it any number of the big library they have of books, computer books, plus other things. and read them on your tablet offline up to the limit of your storage. I paid $200 for a year, and I renewed it for 1 year. It's not been really super, so if you think of getting a consult, you might want to email me. But anyway, so I have it. I downloaded the Git book, and I started learning Git, and I did successfully, after a few false starts, I put the 2 PDFs SourceForge. And a message went out to the team, I think, that said I'd done it. So it's pretty cool. I'm using the command line, and oddly, for starters. I plan later to get Tortoise Git. And so I'm getting, for the coming week, I got a lot of things going, so I don't know what I'll be doing. The plan is to do more Git and finish up the 501c. Actually, that's the real main thing. Now that I've got a place to put it and share it, basically I just have to hit a button on my machine and you'll all see what's there. And I'm thinking maybe I might be able to put a link in Trello as well.
Yeah.
So, that would kind of close the circle. And so that's kind of the upcoming. And the blocks is I have a laptop I bought in 2013, and I got a Square Trade warranty. And the display is coming separated from the top, and it expires in a couple of days, but I've already put the claim in, but I have to mail them my laptop. And that's an estimated 2 weeks that it's out. So I'm backing it up right now rather than doing other things. Anyway, that's a block. I have another box, a Linux box. I do have an old Windows box, but I don't know if it's worth reviving and trying to do stuff on it. Anyways, I'm backing up everything up. So 15 gigs, including all of the WIKISPEED stuff that I'm working on. So that's my block, is that I'm dealing with my main laptop going to repairs. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Lauren. Good luck with the laptop. I've replaced screens on those before, and if it's not OEM, it could be, yeah. So good luck. All right, and that leaves, I believe, Chris.
Cool. I got to say, too, y'all can hear me okay, right? I think I've had some issues with my headset here. I got to say, Lauren, you kicked some serious butt this week, man. That's awesome. So my name is Chris Wallace, and I'm in Burleson, Texas, USA. Last week, actually, this may span over the last week and a half or so, just because I know we didn't meet last week. So I added the Linwood Trello board to the Trello Team WIKISPEED page. I also added or made William an admin of that Team WIKISPEED page, so he can also add and move around and whatever needs to happen there.
I think you're one too, right?
Order here, but I attached the rest of the suspension module V31 to car number 11 in the Burleson shop. There are still 2 modules left that need to be tightened down, but everything's attached. In the back, the rear suspension modules are tightened down, ready to go. Most of the driver front is ready to go, and then the driver passenger still needs to be completely tightened down. What else did I do? Oh, okay. So I worked on some formatting. I cleaned up various aspects of the formatting on pages and blogs on the website, about spacing between paragraphs, spacing below the title, making sure the links look like links, because the automated version, or I would say the UI version, anytime you made a change, would always set that back to not being underlined or something along those lines. So we did some stuff there. There's still a little bit of tweaking, I would say, that needs to be done, but I think it's looking good. I started the image optimization process. I noticed, I guess it was probably Nathan or someone had put the Smush plugin in there. So I ran through as many iterations as it would let me. I think it lets you do 50 at a time, and then there's still 584 images. It says it cannot optimize. So we'll want to look at, which is actually I think it still did over half of them if I'm not mistaken. But we'll want to look at other options for that.
Okay.
What else did I do?
So they were theme based, or they
I don't even know what the program's called. I know Nathan had shared this Trello card that the website you had used to check the performance of the website. So I looked at that and I ran it on different pages and got some suggestions, which led me to research some options on setting like the scripts that run the YouTube videos and things like that to what they call async. Basically, that means that the web page does not wait to load for the video to load, and that'll knock a bunch of time off because a site that has a lot of media on it, you really want the page to load, and then the stuff can load as it's ready. I think there's actually two options on that. I'm definitely just something I'm just learning about. So again, I researched some of the options on that. And then also I ran through just removing some broken links. It was kind of a quick and dirty hack. I did not go through each individual link and manually figure out if it had moved or anything like that. I just removed the link from the text through all the ones that were displayed. I think that wraps up what was done last week. For next week, I plan on finishing up that suspension install. That shouldn't even take 45 minutes to an hour, I would say. And then I want to start measuring and marking the holes for the pedal plate install, which will be a challenge because I'm not sure what my strategy is there yet. If I get enough of that done and then the time that's allocated, I'll maybe have time to actually start drilling the holes for the pedal plate. I already have the bolts and everything I need. So that takes me to blocks. Finals for this semester are starting to come up, and I still have a lot of schoolwork to complete this semester. So my WIKISPEED participation will be a little limited there, which so makes next week a little hard to plan and see what may happen. I always try to keep a buffer open for things that come up too. But so that wraps it up for me.
Thank you, Chris. And I think we just saw Michael jump on a little bit. Little check. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Not a whole lot to report. I can hear you.
Excellent. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I think 3 new members. I invited them to the Google group. I'm not sure why I had to invite one of them twice. And it looks like there's a little bit of progress on the open source AC controller. It looks like a young entrepreneur is going to try and build motorcycles as sort of a kit to convert classic bikes into electric, or not quite sure. That's last week. This week, not a whole lot happening. I'm about 3 weeks behind on my CAD course, so I got some homework to do. And no blocks. So that's about it for me.
Thank you, Michael. Excellent. And that concludes our stand-up for the first part, which is perfect because it's 6:15. And on to the retrospective. I'll guess I'll go first. Oh, yes.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, Lauren.
Did I miss your stand-up?
My stand-up?
Yeah.
Maybe. I went first, I believe, starting us off. I was talking about how
I didn't see you on. Okay.
Oh, that's all right. I just didn't do much as far as last week, but up until today, we got the soft brake lines mounted. Do you remember that part? The L brackets?
I remember. So.
Okay. It's all good. So retrospective. I didn't do much. Nathan and I didn't do much for the holidays, and then I think I started moving and finally completely moved out into the new place, which is much better, quieter, and easily able to get into my own head and think about things that I need to do and want to do, and also to be more creative about what we can do with WIKISPEED and some of the Kaizens and process improvements. I give the team an 8, and we're still churning along even with holidays and some members having some other priorities in their personal lives that needs to happen. So good job, it's excellent. Um, as a kaizen, I will have one by the end of everyone's retrospect, if not by then. Who would like to know who would like to go next?
I can go next. So I'll give myself an 8, considering what I've been able to do before. The team is a 10, and okay. I don't know if this is going to be a process improvement or anything, but I am a big version control freak, so I was thinking of doing some. I've given papers on Git at software conferences of kind of analysts who barely use version control. So I was going to just kind of maybe put together some material or some recommendations as to how to proceed with version control, and a little bit of information. Like I want to find out. I believe there's. I know there was kind of photo. A diff, you could do a diff with some of the tools. So I was going to recommend some things like Tortoise Git, and also look around for diff tools. I was particularly interested if there's a diff tool for CAD for Git. So again, yeah, I guess I'll get into Git or something like that, or just take a look at Git.
Gesundheit.
Sorry, that's it.
Thank you, Lauren. And to recap, and correct me if I'm wrong, your Kaizen proposal is to have version control and check out Git, as an example. Is that correct? You're muted still.
Sorry, I set up a little repository. It's probably kind of wrong, but anyways, there are 2 files in a repository on the SourceForge, WIKISPEED, Team WIKISPEED, SourceForge, Team WIKISPEED.
Okay.
So and then I think I'll send out a little email with what I know so far. Like the book I'm reading looks really good, and Michael or Chris did some research before. So so what I'm saying is just maybe take a look at what's on SourceForge in terms of just the layout of it, and by then hopefully before too long I'll have other updates there, and you'll see how it just kind of lays out the first each commit, so you can actually see it in a simple kind of way. And so, just people to look in, kind of think about version control. That would be it. So
Okay.
think about and maybe put in 2 cents if you have any kind of background or whatever.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
And who would like to go next?
I'll go real quick just because I actually had a different process improvement written down, but I think I want to modify or make a suggestion on Lauren's. So that Git repository is a part of SourceForge, like he was saying. Just something that's really quick and easy that will allow people to kind of look into it and Nathan will probably know more about this because I haven't looked into the member section too much. But the link to the Git repository, if we can add it to the member section of the website, maybe, and I'll say or the Trello board. I'm going for something that's quick and easy that gives everyone on the team access to that Git repository to play around with. So that could either be the website or a Trello board, but the main thing is the link to that Git repository. Let's make that available to current team members who have access to the normal channels. Oh, and I guess I should give my my retro too. I'll go a 7 for me because I think most of actually what I got done on that list was probably more from last week and less from this week. And I'll go for a 9 for the team. Everybody's doing awesome. Although this time there's still a little room for improvement. I think that's where the process improvement part comes in really important. And my other suggestion, which I think actually I'm going for the easiest thing to implement, I think that could really make some real change, was to try to automate joining new members to the forum. But I really think that just adding the Skip repository to the member section may be much easier to try out. And that wraps it up for me. Sorry to be so long-winded.
Thank you, Chris. Not at all. We're always here to share about each other's thoughts and what's blocking us down. This is how we can sync up, so we appreciate it. And I believe we still have one more.
Yep, that would be me. Since I didn't introduce myself before, Saskatoon, Canada, where it's 25 degrees Fahrenheit and a little nippy. I'm going to give myself a 1 because I showed up for the stand-up, and 9 for the team. The process improvement, I like the idea of doing a version control. I think a couple of us have been tripped up on version control in the CAD already, where we're trying to get to an earlier version of the CAD and there's missing blocks or it hasn't been packaged correctly or whatever. So whatever we can do to streamline that for ourselves is probably a good idea. That would be it for me.
Thank you, Michael. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord.
I have something to just say about publicizing it right now. It's a little early. Directly publicized. Although every time I do anything, a message goes out to the team with a link. So there's already team things, but I think it's a little early. I think it could be a little confusing before we have a minimal explanation or whatever of what it is. So that's kind of my thought on that. I agree we want to do it. I agree we want to particularly have it available where people can do it. Because what it really promotes is collaboration, which would probably be good for us. It allows you to just take somebody else's work and jump right in and do it in a safe way to play around with it and make changes.
Can I add real quick also that I get the point of it not being ready, but maybe that leads me more toward putting it in Trello, because the more people only people that are interested are going to access that link and try to learn about it. So that may be a better place than putting it in the member section of the website. I totally see your point there, but I mean, make it available, and then the people that want to learn about it will learn about it and collaborate and make it more awesome than we ever thought about.
Thank you both. And it sounds like we have a version control, and then we also have making available the repository. Is that correct? Or shake your head if it's not correct. Okay. So number 1 is for the repository, and number 2, or number 1 is for the repository to be made available for members who want to join. Number 2 is for version control of the repository. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I think it's just that there's already a repository. So the suggestion is to think about version control, and I think it's a single suggestion. I think Chris and I were collaborating there, so
okay.
It's and make a link available on Trello, so any of our actual people who get into things with WIKISPEED via Trello can poke around to the degree of their expertise, which a lot of them will be bigger than me.
Okay.
So it's just version control. Think about version control, and put a link on Trello to the repository for this. It happens to be for the 501c, the application to the IRS. But it's an example of something you can do.
Okay.
And this is PDFs, which is also a binary the way CAD would be. So I'm going to be researching as to how you can work with. Can you do a diff? Is there a tool? And this kind of thing with PDFs.
Okay.
So, but that's it. So in a nutshell, it's think about version control and check out the Git repository for the 501c, and put a link on Trello for that.
I see. Then go ahead, Chris.
I was just saying, yeah. I mean, I think we're all in agreement. I think that really what we're saying is look into version control, and I think what I gave was my version of what that means. But I think that's the real process improvement, because somebody else may have a way better idea of how it should work.
Okay, my question then would be could we either have version 1.0 or version 1.01, that type of version control, or just date it? So chronological dating, we can have a date of how far back it goes.
Here's an idea. Can we use star dates?
Yeah. Pardon me?
Star dates.
Ship's log.
Yeah.
Supplemental.
Yeah, so all that's built into things like Git, CVS, and Subversion. It gives you that in the without it being a problem with storage space, and performance. So some of them are very economical on storage space and performance, and they give you the dates of everything, but you don't have to put the version on. It tracks the version, so your first one is automatically 1, and then you only see the one name of the thing you're working on. You don't have to add suffixes like version 1, version 2. You, if you want to look at an earlier version, then you can bring up the history, and you can see all the earlier versions with a number. And it assigns a number, and also you can assign a kind of a name, like adding all the private data ahead of, well, that's a bad example. adding the balance sheet, which is something I need. So it'll say version 4, and then it'll say what it's doing, like adding the balance sheet. And then the idea is you can hop back and forth and do all kinds of things in branch, and someone else can go and make a change, and you can merge the changes. So it handles all of that, version 1, 2, 3, 4.
Excellent. Cool. All right. So that is our one Kaizen process improvement for having a version control, utilizing the repository for being able to utilize the version controls so that we can either combine them or segregate different versions depending on what we see would fit and for betterment. Is that correct? Okay. All those in favor with a thumbs up. All those who are no with a thumbs down. Or just perfect. Thank you, Michael. That worked. It's good to see you. Excellent. So that's our process improvement. I'll type that up. I'll also send out the recording for this as well. And that concludes our retrospective. And now for any crosstalk or any follow-up for any other questions or anything later on. And for those who need to sign off for other life matters and things, or dinner or other stuff, feel free. This is the perfect time.
I don't very often turn on the video because I don't have a lot of bandwidth. So if you can hear or see me, I can't really see much of what you're doing.
Gotcha. But it was good to see you.
It's so ironic because you had fiber running past your place in like the early 80s, but it doesn't quite go to all the rural places.
It's about 300 yards away from my house. It's hard for me to tap into it.
You know what? I just burn it down. You know what? You go out there with some hedge trimmers or just be like, hey, you know what? Look, you guys don't want to listen. Here, tell you what. Now nobody gets to play.
It just happens to be 25 pair single mode, so the splicing would be quite expensive.
Oh, yeah. Anything else to discuss?
I did have something to add for the website latency. I seem to recall something about the caching where if there are broken links, it's trying to cache those broken links because it's crawling the site and trying to. And someone correct me if I'm wrong. I remember just stumbling across this where if there are broken links, it's going to try to cache those broken pages, and obviously that's not possible. So it's waiting and timing out on each link. So that might increase site latency. Maybe someone else can comment on that, but thought I'd throw that into the ether.
I think you're absolutely right. One of the things that when it gives you those grades is about website caching, and that's an excellent point to bring up because the way it's either I don't think it's the web posting. I think it's on the WordPress side that basically there should be a global setting for dealing with how things are cached, so that it would actually be easier to implement than some of the other things I was like the script async or whatever. So yeah, my point is I just added that to my next week's backlog to look into that because I think that's actually probably one thing that can really help. That shouldn't be too.
So here's a thought, just in that same vein, and that's awesome. Great plan of action there. Just a thought, if we just did something as simple as unpublishing the page on WordPress, that would about disable it publicly. So that should speed things up, right?
It's a good, yeah. I actually forgot to mention this in what I did last week. Was I went through all of those pages that are not being used, and I put them to I moved them to the trash.
Oh, excellent!
So
Good.
I did not want to empty the trash folder just because a lot of those pages are they're amazing examples of what this thing can do.
That's
So you don't want to delete them. My question then, based on what you're saying, is does moving them to trash truly unpublish them?
Oh no! Don't move them. Don't move the active pages that are live now to trash. Okay.
I'm saying like there was all kinds of media on pages that were actually published, but were not like in our menu link. They just came with that theme.
Yeah.
And the way certain browsers work, they may go start looking at these things and slowing things down. Sorry, I'm about to have some noisy dogs here. So that's a great point. I will look into that. I'm going to mute myself because that's about to get unbearable for real.
That's all I had.
Oh, they calm down pretty quick. But yeah, so basically my question is, those pages that I moved to the trash, did it truly unpublish them? Or did it just move them to a separate folder in WordPress? And it'll be real quick for me to check. I'll just have to go look and see what the status of one of those pages is, and it'll tell me the answer.
I would imagine that it unpublishes and moves to the trash where they aren't accessible. I mean, in no universe does that make sense to me that when you move something to the trash, you can open it without moving it from the trash first.
Right. Exactly. But there's multiple universes though.
This is true. This is true. What are we in, a J.J. Abrams movie?
Right.
Well, I was going to make a comment on that. You've been in software for long enough that you know that logic doesn't play a big part in the way that some people think, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. How some of these people advance in their careers, I have no idea. But hey.
My opinion is they make it, they obfuscate it so bad that no one else can touch their code. Anyway, Chris, I caught part of your update. I was looking, you're putting the pedal plate on, or you're planning to put the pedal plate on?
I'm planning to put the pedal plate on. I'm hoping to get to that this week. But yeah, that is after I finish the suspension install, which seems like that'll be real quick. Again, less than an hour. That is the next step.
Okay, so you actually have dimensions on where you want to put the pedal plate and stuff, because I had trouble finding those a while ago. Like where
So in my mind, the pedal plate should actually kind of match up with the front, but I know that where it should be very obvious where it's placed.
I guess
Where the corners go right next to the big square that is the long beans, but it doesn't work that way. So yeah, so I'm going to play around with it a little bit and see. I mean, I'm basically probably going to split the difference and put it as much in the middle as I possibly can.
I guess what I meant to say is the pedals themselves on the inside. Are they mounted on the plate yet?
No, that's an excellent question.
Okay.
No, that's actually the best thing I've ever seen to figure that out is to get a very tall person and a very short person, put a seat in there, and figure out who can reach the pedals, and that's how you figure out where to place it. Basically, you want to find a good happy medium between those, and it's the same thing. You place the seat and the pedal kind of where both of those people find it comfortable. Uncomfortable, depending on what the size difference is.
After the Winnipeg car, we had trouble actually fitting the brake and the accelerator on the right side of the steering column because of where it went through the pedal plate. So I'm not sure if you're going to run into that.
Well, that's a good point. So I just intend on attaching the pedal plate with what's attached to it now, which on mine it's just the S2000 steering. What's the word for it? It's not the
Steering rack.
Steering rack. Yeah. So mine has the steering rack. The way that the Linwood shop built it for me was that the pedals are separate. Everything's there and ready for me to assemble. So I'm glad that you brought that up because I don't have a steering column yet. So again, I'm going to attach the plate with what's on there with the idea that those can be easily attached to the suspension because the rack's already there. But I will probably hold off on attaching the actual pedals until I know where the steering column is.
Okay.
Which will be at least a few weeks out. Yeah, no, I appreciate it because I would have probably, I need to do this next. And then, okay, I got to take this apart. So now, I appreciate it.
Any other stuff we want to talk about? Lauren, you said you were going to be republishing, or did I catch that you did publish new links? I didn't quite catch that.
Yes, with some pain, I got it set up again. Because basically, I was throwing a command line without not knowing very much what I was doing. But it was pretty. There was a lot of help. So I was able to. What I did, I put up something that I was concerned about, the employee ID number. It's not. There's a warning not to put social security numbers on the IRS says don't put this in a public. Don't put social security numbers in a public place. There are no social security numbers on it, but there's an EIN on it. I wasn't happy with it. So, but the only thing and this is kind of characteristic of Git too, that it's very hard to get rid of something. The repository is meant to just hold onto things for dear life. So the only way was up on SourceForge. It had a thing saying delete, and it said, warning, this gets rid of the app altogether. So I had to then add the app again to the SourceForge account and download the app, and it wiped it out on my own computer. So I downloaded it again, and then I was able to basically reestablish what I had done with the names that I liked and with the information I didn't want on there. I don't think it's high risk, but I still just like to hang on to stuff. Be careful. That was my job. I worked with health and financial data, so
grindy.
I should know better.
So it wasn't really a delete so much as a terminate with extreme prejudice.
Well, this is a great reason too, Lauren, why now is a great time to share it to people that want to play with it. Because if we completely destroy it by accident, it's still rebuildable. In fact, once it seems like we know what we're doing, we want it shared. Maybe we create a development environment and a production environment. Because I absolutely
Oh,
understand
yeah.
the concept of.
Totally.
I mean, I've worked
What
with a
about-
lot of healthcare, a lot of financial institutions, and yeah, that's the
What
whole
about
point
tests?
is making sure that it's available. Yeah, well, that's test dev and the normal setup.
I've never worked where we actually.
But yeah, like I said,
had
but
three.
now's a great time to. Oh, really? That's where I work now. We have all three for everything that's there.
Yeah.
There's test dev and production for every one of them. And then sometimes like a weird way when. All right.
Okay, guys, is that it?
We'll end the conversation off with a quote from the famous Elon Musk. If you're not breaking shit, you're not innovating fast enough. And also that delete button, they really need to rename that nuke site from orbit button. That's my Kaizen for the day.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, you guys. Good to
Bye.
see your faces.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talk to you
awesome.
next week.
Till next
Good
week.
night.
See you.